Oh wait, I can't. The Twitter Space music. I'm just gonna screw it. I'm adding you guys as speakers on the space. Molly, can you jump into the space when you get a sec? Oh, I see you. Sweet. And then we're live on YouTube too right now.
Let's go. Okay, can you guys hear me? Just testing. You guys? Okay, cool.
Yeah, throw us a thumbs up in the space too on Twitter if you guys could hear us clearly.
Yeah, we can see you guys.
How come they won't let me be a speaker?
Can you guys hear us on the Twitter space? Throw us a thumbs up if you can. Sweet. Looks like we're good on both ends. All right, so first live stream going on today. Really excited to kick this off. Have some wonderful guests up here. We got Molly McCutcheon, Alyssa Stevens, and Matteo Purple. What's going on, guys?
What's up? Excited to be here.
Hell yeah.
Guys.
Hey. So this is our first trial run of this MVP, basically, this minimum viable product. Could not get music going today, so we're just gonna jump right into the conversation. But I've been hanging out with you guys a lot at Station 3. Station 3 has been definitely a really, really cool hub that's exploding in New York City right now. And I think I feel like Molly was one of the first people to actually tell me about it when I met you, Molly, at Pearl Alley a few weeks back. But in doing so, I think we built some great friendships all around. And want to kick it off with Matteo first. Matteo, I was telling you earlier how we spent some good time together at Station 3, but I feel like I haven't really gotten to dive in and know your story. So gonna throw you, just want to hear about your background, man. Like, where did you come from? You could kick off as far back as childhood if you'd like, and talk about what brought you into art and Web3.
So I'm from my voice, I'm clearly Italian. So I come from Italy. I started actually as a designer. I studied graphic design in high school and then art direction in university. So my background is on advertising and like a designer. I lived 10 years in Milan working for fashion and design, which is my style, my idea of branding and design and graphics. Got totally burned out from the environment of that. Moved to a little island a year ago, Canary Island, and started with trading NFT, doing my series, Marina series. I don't know. In the beginning, I didn't understand properly one-on-one art because I was mostly a collector of real art. So I said oh my God, what's that? And then after was a nice discover for me. After staying 7 months in an island, I'm back in a big city like New York.
Let's go. And on the art collecting front, were you collecting prior to Web3, or was Web3 kind of what got you into collecting?
No, I was collecting before, screen printing, real art. And then I started with crypto. I started with NFT, mostly on collection, mostly on Solana, Ethereum. And then also investing on collecting some artists on Web3.
Sweet, man. I think that's awesome to hear. And gonna kick it over to Alyssa next. Alyssa, can we hear a little bit about your background? What got you into art, Web3, and where you are today?
Yeah, I just always loved making art since I was a kid, but I actually thought I was a terrible artist. I never thought I was good at making art. But in high school, I spent a lot of time making art in this after-school program called Art Intensive, and it was very open-ended and kind of allowed me to explore my style. And that's when I started creating more abstract art and kind of understanding that for me, art is kind of about channeling my emotions and things I was going through in my life. And then I went to a business school, undergraduate, but it was really business focused. And I studied marketing, and I kind of like didn't make a lot of art while I was there, which is really sad. And I was honestly just very like unfulfilled and not happy with the direction I was going in. But I graduated in 2020, and it was a very rough year for many reasons. And I kind of got back into making art, just as a way to kind of like cope with a lot of things I was going through. And I was like channeling a lot of my emotions into my art. And I learned about Web3 and NFTs from Gary Vee, who I had been following for years. And so, yeah, I feel like there's so much more I could say, but I just kind of got into it. And long story short, my art went from like 0 sales to a sold out collection because I was featured on the homepage of OpenSea. And I've been doing this full time for a little over a year now, about a year and a half.
Absolutely. So excited to talk about that collection a little bit. I believe it was Interconnected Planes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll jump into that more later, but I think that was just like probably an amazing experience for you at the time.
Yeah.
And want to jump over to Molly now. Molly, I feel like we had like a 2-hour conversation about your background yesterday, but I'm gonna make you repeat it anyway.
2 hours. Two. No, I.
1 hour.
It was a great conversation we had. And I love conversations like that with people in person. I mean, about a year ago is when I discovered this space and kind of really saw a vision for myself and a place for myself in this space. And I mean, I've been making art my entire life since I was like 3. I've just been drawing kind of just obsessively. Because I think it's because I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Midwest, so I was bored a lot. And I carried that throughout high school, college. I don't have any like traditional training. I'm kind of like self-taught, and so because of that, I take it like as an experiment. And when I graduated college about a little less than 2 years ago, I didn't have anything planned. I was a philosophy major, so I decided to just indulge myself in late night art sessions, and that eventually led me to wanting to connect with more artists and more people that were like me. And that led me to social media because I just didn't have that in person, and then that led me down the rabbit hole of people selling their art as NFTs and being able to be self-sovereign, which is like very important to me and the main reason why I'm in this space. Yeah, and it's been a rabbit hole since. I mean, I sold my first NFT in December, and I believe to this day right now I have like 16 total pieces minted, all one of ones, and I just have a bunch of amazing collectors, friends, and now an IRL community with Station 3.
Hell yeah, I think beautiful stuff all around. It's funny you mentioned the philosophy because I was thinking to myself as I was prepping questions for you guys. I was like, I could just write 2 questions for Molly and just like let her go off. I know she loves to talk, but I did prep more than 2 questions for you. Nonetheless, we'll throw you the first. You mentioned yesterday how you find that some of your collectors are just like exceptionally both smart and like really profound thinkers, and I found that to be really cool. And I was kind of wondering, do you feel like you studying philosophy has influenced your work in any way and allowed you connect with those deeper thinkers?
Yeah, I do. I think it's just a stream of consciousness, and so I think that the way that I create my art is really just putting myself in the moment, and I believe that by doing that, I make myself act on just all of the experience I had that day, that year. Like, I try to still spend my time reading and learning new things that isn't just art related, because I think that stuff really does matter, and I think that it helps me connect with people through my art, because I think that my art really is. I mean, all art I think is like a language, and so I believe that it's like just a different way to communicate, and yeah, I think that like I said, having the ability to be self-sovereign in this space and own everything that you do. I've done, because of that, I've done almost all of my art as private sales because I like to get to know who it is I'm talking to and who it is that wants to invest in my art, collect it. Why do they want to? Why are they drawn to this piece? And I think that has been a great practice for me so far. So yeah, I've definitely connected with some amazing people and collectors.
I think that's awesome. It's kind of cool to see, that relationship being two-way. It's like the collector getting to know you, but also you making it a priority to get to know them and see if it's somebody that aligns with your work. But you mentioned books and thought that was cool. I want to kind of just throw this at the whole group. Favorite books or I would say works that you've been inspired by. So books, movies, anything else along those lines. And we'll kick it back to Matteo on that.
Let me think.
The girls have an advantage because they could brainstorm in the background.
Oh, are you starting from me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I will say not even like just one artist. I will say street art in general for me.
Gotcha.
Like so yeah, art from the streets, art everywhere.
Is there a big street art scene in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in Milan, but I think is everywhere is big. Everywhere is huge. Everywhere you see tags and street art.
Have you
And also, I think most of the like contemporary artists are coming from that. So I would definitely say street art.
have you experimented on the street art side yourself?
I do.
Oh, dude, we gotta.
You
I'll be
can
happy
find
to dig up some.
some sticker. You can find some tag around New York.
We'll have to talk about that more offline at some point. But
Yeah.
Alyssa, how about you?
I like this question because I feel like when I'm creating, I don't like directly feel like I'm taking inspiration from things, but there's so many things that have inspired me and kind of like shaped my mindset and my energy that definitely come through in my art. And I'm always talking about my favorite books, The Alchemist and The Little Prince, which are really important to me because I feel like they're all about like kind of reconnecting to your inner child and just following your dreams. As like cliche as it sounds, I don't know, the stories are really good and beautiful if you haven't read them. But just like a lot of different sources are really important to me, like music. I'm always listening to music when I'm creating, and my favorite band right now is called Horse Jumper of Love. It's so good. I love it. It's very like ethereal and like nostalgic. And I have a huge list of movies on my phone, like so long that I've been keeping for years of like my favorite movies I want to watch, and then I check it off as I go, like favorite directors. So I'm just very inspired by a lot of different sources.
I think that's awesome. The Alchemist, I'm familiar with too. Absolutely, absolute classic of a book. Love that one. And then Horse Jumper of Love. You mentioned them to me the other day. It's still on my to-do list to listen to, so I'll make sure to make that happen. But Mollis, how about you?
That was great. Well, I feel like in college I was reading a lot. A lot of books, and then I feel like once I got out of college, I looked forward to exploring film more, and I feel very drawn to science fiction films. I feel like most of the like top inspiring films that have happened in the past like century have been science fiction. At least the ones that I connect with. So yeah, science fiction films are just absolutely amazing. Interstellar, to be specific, anything that is not anything, but most Christopher Nolan films.
100% agree on that. I think we all do.
Yeah, it's just like his mind is really wonderful. And other than that, I love podcasts. I love listening to really, really great artists who are older now and have experienced a lot talk on podcasts. So we have a lot of those now. We have Rick Rubin, of course, doing all these amazing things nowadays. And, he dropped a podcast that I love. And then There's this one specific podcast where the director, actor, writer, artist John Cleese is talking a lot about the creative process, and yeah, so that's like significant. And then music on the other hand, to Alyssa's point, is like absolutely magical. I love meeting musicians. I grew up in a house of musicians, and I grew up playing piano and guitar myself, and it's just actual magic. And so yeah, I'm always listening to music every day. Sometimes when I create, and yeah.
Sounds like we got to get Molly on a jam session at Station 3 at some point. We'll get some live music in there. That'd actually be sweet. Huge Christopher Nolan fan as well. And then on the Rick Rubin front, everybody keeps recommending me this book, The Creative Act. I don't know if you guys have read it, but I'm just going to throw that in look at this. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. Didn't start it yet, but yeah, it's gonna be my next book.
Sweet, man. Definitely let me know how it goes. But awesome. I wanted to jump back to Alyssa. Alyssa, you were mentioning some of the things that inspired you, and I feel like we have 40 plus of them on the back of your index cards.
Yeah.
A lot of different quotes there. So, I want to say like huge congrats on your drop the collective on Foundation. I believe it was last week, the 16th. And some cool stuff that you have on the cards, but wanted you to kind of just talk about that. So did a little bit of research, and I believe that the collection was inspired, kind of came out of a Twitter space that you hosted, Interconnected, and you just kind of got on the Twitter space, maybe not in like the best mood that day, but were really uplifted by the people on the space, and you were just incited to strike the collection from there. So I wanted you to kind of talk about that whole process in terms of going from the space, how that space proceeded, and then what led you to the collection and what it's about.
Yeah, so I hosted a Twitter space. I think it was, I'm not muted, right? Yeah. I think it was back in May, and I had just started doing my weekly spaces, which since I've been in New York City, I've been really bad about. But I was really consistently like hosting Twitter spaces, and they were really like small community spaces with just people I'm very close with. And we just kind of would talk about life or like whatever, and it was really nice. And I just remember one day I was just kind of going through it. I felt like I had been going through like creative and life block and just felt kind of burnt out for some reason. And I felt kind of like I didn't want to bring that energy into this space, but I also was trying to be consistent. So I hosted this space and kind of like was able to open up to everyone and share how I was feeling. And everyone just like had really encouraging words, and just like their energy, I think, kind of helped. Like, I don't know, I just started creating again like during that space, but I had just run out of sketchbooks, and I don't know why I really love drawing on flashcards. I always have flashcards with me, and they're just like a good size, and I like drawing little like abstract portraits and stuff. So I just started drawing on these flashcards with a red Sharpie because it's just like what I had next to me. And at the end of the space, I had like 40 different pieces just drawn out, and it kind of felt like it shifted me out of that like creative block and that mindset of feeling stuck. And so I wanted to like drop it as a collection, and then ETH or gas prices were crazy because of like the meme coin stuff, and I was like, okay, now is not the right time. And I kept putting it off, and then I finally felt like it was the right moment. But something that I added to this drop, because I always like finding fun ways to kind of like put more of my personality into my art or my drops, or like find ways to connect with people through it on a deeper level. And so since like this drop was kind of about like feeling uninspired and getting re-inspired, I wanted to include quotes from like different sources that really inspired me. So like movies or song lyrics or directors, things like that. And so I literally wrote down like probably at least 60 different quotes, and then narrowed it down to the ones that felt most meaningful to me, and wrote a different one on each flashcard. And I dropped it on Foundation Drops, so whenever somebody mints a piece, they don't know which one they're getting until I reveal the art, which I'll be doing tomorrow. So it's almost like tarot cards also, which I really love tarot cards. So yeah, everyone just like gets a unique message on the back of the flashcard, and they get the physical piece. So I thought that was like a cool little touch.
I think that's sweet. Did you I didn't know that you were creating the cards on the space, but did you just like go through the entire deck of cards in one shot, kind of doing that?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I drew on all of them, but maybe.
Gotcha. But do you have the cards handy by any chance?
I do. Right here.
So I know that you've pulled us cards in the office, but wanted you to pull us some cards on the live stream.
Okay.
Can you kick us off and pull one for Molly first?
Yes.
Oh gosh. I'm ready.
I like shuffling them like they're like tarot cards and just seeing like which one kind of like falls out or feels right.
Molly, you're about to get your life changed.
Bro, I don't know this.
Oh. Okay. This is the piece. The quote is, "The real work of the artist is a way of being in the world," from Rick Rubin. Wait, that's funny because we were just talking about him. I love that one.
Do you see the synchronicities? Like, it's just too obvious at this point.
It's meant for you.
All right, so wait,
Okay.
after I put this on the air, I cannot determine which one of you guys has synchronicities more, but we are going to get like a tally in the office. We're going to get a T-chart, and I'm going to keep track.
I feel like it's going to be equal, but we'll see.
Because we're synchronized.
We are. We're aligned.
Molly, do you feel like that quote resonated?
Yes, 100%.
Hundo P. And Matteo, can we get one for him next?
Yes.
A nice one.
Okay. Let's see what comes out. They're all nice.
All positive.
Yeah. This is the piece. The quote is, wait, this is the exact same one you pulled the other day. That's crazy. The quote is,
Synchronicity.
you only get one life, so you might as well feel all the feelings, from Greta Gerwig. I guess the universe just really wants you.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
That's the one. Crazy.
Do you feel like it hits home, Matteo?
Probably. It's the second time. But yeah.
No pull for me because coaches don't play. But on that, I had like an idea that maybe that card might have a smiley face on the front of it. Because I know that Matteo has a Smilingness NFT collection that's out. So Matteo, I wanted you to talk about that a bit. What led you to that collection, and how was the creative process there?
So I always keep telling myself, like, I started with NFT like a year before even put out some my own art. Always keep telling myself, like, why didn't start before? Why didn't start in the bull market? Why didn't start before, like when everybody was buying everything? But the answer is like I wasn't ready. I started like in the beginning of the year. I started when I moved to the little island, when I started to enjoy the little things, going to the beach like every day, simple life, really simple life. And this is like about the collection, it's about the series. It's called Smiliness. It's a bunch of smiley made with different techniques. That's why I don't define myself like an artist, let's say, but more a concept artist. With my background, like being art director, is more like about the idea, what's behind each piece. And that's why all of them, they are totally different between each other. So also will be like, you maybe like a piece, but you will hate another one. One is made out of the Game Boy Color camera, the Game Boy camera. One is like scan with. One is like spray paint. Another one acrylic. Super different style, different techniques, different medium. And I have like 15 pieces now out, and like 4 of them are from collaboration. And what they do is also say like to another artist, okay, reinterpret it as smiley, so they can do whatever they want. And yeah, give me the possibility to collaborate with other artists, get in contact with them. And I think is like what I'm looking for.
I think it's sweet, man. I was taken aback too when I saw that they were like all completely different. So I just initially expected like a PFP project, but yeah, I just thought it was like really cool how distinct each one of them is. Like it looks like they were almost made by like entirely different artists all around.
Yeah, but because it's me, I really like to experiment like different technique. So yeah, was the direction I wanted to go.
I think a beautiful collection there, and I'm trying to pin it up in the space as well. But we'll pull this back and want to jump back to Molly. Molly, number of different questions for you, but wanted to first kick off with we've spoken about the self discipline that you've built as an athlete and how you can will yourself to do things that you don't feel like doing at times. Think that's an incredible and tremendously important skill. But you also mentioned that forcing yourself to do things as an artist doesn't always carry over. So, wanted to ask you, what did you notice upon entering the art world that's different from the sports world?
Gosh, I think that the biggest thing is that, and it's like a very fundamental thing, is that the type of art I do doesn't depend on my physical body, like the sport I was playing, and so that means I can just train anytime I want. I can just practice anytime that I want, and there's never technically a bad time to practice or a certain amount of time I have to give my muscles to regenerate, and it just feels free. And yeah, I think that because of that, that's probably the biggest difference between what the main thing that I was doing in my life before and now are taking over. But there's also there's just a lot of similarities as well. I know we spoke a lot about that yesterday for forever. But yeah, I could go any direction you want me to with that.
No worry. I actually want to take it in a different direction with you, to be honest.
Okay.
Want to go. So I find your artwork to be like extremely complex, but it's also like kind of minimalistic and simple at the same time. And I think that's just like an interesting balance that you're striking there. So I wanted to ask you, like, do you agree with that? Do you feel like you're striking a balance? And has that always come natural to you? Like, do you feel like you had to be intentional about it? Or was it something that just always ended up in your artwork?
Gosh, well, I think that one thing I've learned in my life, especially within the past like 3 years, and especially within the past year, is just the balance and finding, making sense of both ends of an extreme, both ends of the spectrum. I do kind of give a lot of credit to that way of thinking to my philosophy obsession and my studies that I was doing in college. And, I really think that like almost everything in life is a spectrum, which sounds cliche, but it's how I live my life and it helps. And so I do find that comes out in a super abstract way when I'm creating art. Because a lot of times I'm in control, but I'm not in control. Like when you reach a flow state, it's cliche, but you're just a vessel. And so I do believe that also experiencing a lot of that, especially recently, has kind of instilled that like balance and spectrum of complex and simple even more in my life. And yeah, so I don't know. I think that I take a lot of time with some of my pieces, and then sometimes I don't. And sometimes there's barely anything on the page, and then sometimes there's a bunch of stuff on the page. But I do think that you can find like both sides of the extreme in my pieces, and I think that if other people can see that too, then that's great. Because I really think that it can go anywhere from that. That it can go anywhere with the meaning, or whatever it is that the person connects with when they look at that piece. That might be completely different from the reason that I created it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So on that balance portion, wanted to talk about this piece because I feel like we discussed this a bit, and it's sort of yin and yang. And this piece recently found a home in the hands of Bob, the founder of Station 3, who is tremendously active and involved in building the wonderful community there. So shouts out to Bob Lucas. But wanted you to talk about this piece a bit and what led you to it and what it means to you.
Yeah. yeah, this piece was a trip to make. I can say that I looked at this piece while it was still of my ownership, and I just knew that it was special. Just to start when I was creating it, I just started like very very simple and basic with geometry and line work and spheres and patterns. And once I could see something that was like the structure that I liked, it appealed to my eye and it didn't need anything more. I started the shading process, and the shading process is just kind of like where things reveal themselves that I can't really predict. And that ended up becoming a bird and a fish in a yin and yang position. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. Like I just, I mean, this piece took me probably in total, probably 30 plus hours. And that was a lot of like late night in the dark with only that spotlight shining at that specific angle. That's basically what I did for those 30 hours, was just be with that piece and just let it do its thing. Really, like it was so fun and it was so inspiring to make, and it's just feels like very very right for it to end up with Bob. And I really couldn't be more grateful for that. It's also a piece that has that reflection of light that is a physical attribute that is something novel that I am experimenting more with. And I think that what makes it even more special is that I got to really talk with Bob about that experimentation process before he even decided to collect the piece. So, that just makes the whole entire storyline of this piece that much more bittersweet. And it's also it's inspiring. It kind of makes me feel like my experimentation is going down a path that's meant for me. Like, if it can connect with people like that, yeah.
Hell yeah, I think beautiful words all around there. It's an exceptional work too. And as you said, I think it's cool for it to end up like in the hands of Bob at this time too. And it's like you just got into Station 3 and you're just killing it there. But wanted to jump over to Alyssa. Alyssa, no, you stay busy at all hours, working late at Station 3, running the vlogs 24/7 as well. But notice from a YouTube short of yours that's on your channel that you were doing more complex line work, I felt, in the past. And it's really cool to see because I feel like your characters in the collective now are almost like the descendants of like their ancestors from like a short I saw of yours like back in 2015. But kind of wanted to talk about the different stages that you felt like you've been through as an artist, and how your art has progressed.
Yeah, the art you're talking about from 2015, I actually created when I was in high school. And that was when I was really starting to find my style, and I did a lot of line work and like abstract portrait work. And it's so cool looking back on that. I really love those pieces and I wish I still had them. I have no idea what happened to them, but I had like some of the work I did was like these vases, and I put like wires in them, and then there were like these abstract faces that I had cut out, like line work abstract faces that I cut out and stuck the wire through, and it looked like a vase of flowers but with these abstract faces. And it was just like a really cool thing that I did, and I feel like in the moment I didn't appreciate how cool it was. I was just like being very self-critical of my art and just never thinking it was good enough. But it's really cool to see how it's progressed and how I still like maintain that like similar sense of style while also kind of like always trying to experiment. And I'm always like going through different phases, I feel like, but it still maintains a consistency of like abstract line work. So yeah, I just like to create whatever feels right in the moment, whether it's more colorful stuff or more recently I'm getting back to like the black and white line work, pen on paper stuff. So yeah.
And on the note of black and white line work, really love this collection of yours called The Imperfectionist. So I assume it's one of the phases or stops on your journey, but find it to be different than Interconnected Planes in another collection of yours. So wanted you to talk about this collection a little bit too.
Yeah, so it's a very like minimal collection. There's actually these little like abstract figures that I drew, and they're all like reaching for hearts. And it was kind of inspired by just feeling like always very hard on myself and like self-critical, and kind of like reaching the point of realizing like there's a lot of beauty in the imperfection within us. And also like I'm always trying to tap into the more childlike energy within me, and that is very imperfect and messy, and I think that's a beautiful thing to like to kind of like connect with that part of yourself. So I mean, I guess it wasn't necessarily inspired by that. I just drew the art, and then I kind of analyze it afterwards and realize what it means. So yeah, it's just really about like loving yourself and accepting yourself and the imperfections within yourself.
Oh yeah, I think that's beautiful. And also wanted to talk about your vlogs a little bit. Think your vlogs are so fun and they give us such like an inside look to your life. And really get to know you as a person too, outside of like, just you as an artist and your work. When did you start vlogging? How did that come about?
I've always just loved making videos in general. So like probably years ago, but I didn't used to really share a lot of them. And I also used to love making more like aesthetic cinematic videos on my old YouTube channel. But I always kind of loved watching vloggers and wanted to do that myself. And I finally kind of, I guess, got the confidence to do it as an artist, and kind of letting people within my community watch a little bit more behind the scenes. And so, especially since I've been going to a lot more IRL events as an artist, like VCon or NFT NYC or Art Basel, like different things like that, I'm always like, it would be fun to let people kind of come with me who maybe can't go to these events. But now that I'm in New York City, I was kind of like, why don't I just bring people along with me? I feel like my life is a lot more interesting and fun than it was when I was living back in my hometown. So yeah, it's just been really fun kind of like being able to let people connect with me on a deeper level and get a little more behind the scenes. And I just love making videos and editing videos, so it's really fun for me.
I think that's awesome and definitely a lot of energy here in New York City. So I'm sure you have plenty of ammo to fire off on YouTube. But nonetheless, wanted to jump to some New York City stuff. So wanted to jump over to Station 3. Matteo, going to kick it to you because I feel like I see you in the office and you're always working, man. And you're also always working on stuff that is collaborative. Like I find that it's always like other people or like projects that you seem to be helping out, supporting, which I think is so cool. So wanted to ask you like what are you working on now, and how has it been collaborating at Station 3 thus far?
I mean, was, I don't know, something aligned anyway, because I moved in New York like 2 months ago. After I moved here, I had like an Azuki New York meetup. A guy the next week brought me here to Station 3 to a Bob's event, like generative art. And then, I don't know, something got like aligned, like the planets were aligned or something. And the next day I was already here working in the co-working space. Talking with Bob, I started to do the branding of the place, so Station 3 branding. Yeah, I feel like the energy is like high. Everybody are like into Web3. Everybody are willing to collaborate with each other. So yeah, one project after the other. Like I feel I'm taking care of like the branding and this kind of side of the place.
Seems like that, man. You're the go-to branding guy.
Yeah, I'm actually, I know, like from the little island where I like was amazing for a year. I'm back like in a big city. I'm putting also too much stuff on my plate sometimes also now, but you're in New York, and there are like possibility every day, and I need to get them.
Mhm. Definitely feel you on like the putting stuff on your plate thing, but I do feel like, as you said, like New York is the place to do it. A million opportunities, and I feel like Molly, you often say that too. It's like you just want to like make the most of like the opportunities that are in front of you, which I think we're all doing currently. So applaud us all for that. But
I
one,
mean, also on the art side, on Smiley's collection, like how he grew, like how it started and how it's gonna be. It's like I don't feel the pressure of like having a piece every week, every month. No, like when it's ready, and that's it.
Love that,
That's
man.
all.
I think
That's great.
I'm focusing more on like let's say my real job, like my doing like brand identity for client, working for other client. The smiliness series is like need to be simple, need to be like a smiley. I need to be happy when I'm making the piece. So it's like a flow.
Molly, I feel like you had some extra thoughts there. Did any of that resonate?
Well, yeah, it does, especially because I've gotten to spend a lot of time with Matteo, who I just met for the first time here in New York when I got here like 2.5 weeks ago. And I have the most confidence in him as an artist and a designer. And I just think that just collaboration is so important. So like being able to see him just be so helpful to like just building the culture here is very special. It's actually really inspiring because that's essential in order to build a strong foundation for something. And I'm excited for his art in the future. I am very excited for it. I think that like the smileys that I've seen from him and just being able to like work in the same art creative studio space with him has just it's given so much meaning to his art for me personally and yeah. So I think you're doing everything right, man.
Thank you. It also takes time. Like I know I'm coming from Solana, like a chain mostly, and moving here, I realized like that Ethereum is probably the chain to be. So I need to also to do this transition from chain to chain. Will take time, but yeah, no pressure. And anyway, all my pieces are sold. I have like nice collector. Nobody even resell on secondary. So I'm happy.
Love that, man.
Also,
Um,
like, sorry to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you.
No, go
Also,
ahead.
this is my first time of like a Twitter space, like a YouTube video, whatever. Uh, and yeah, I'm really like a different person from 2 months ago. Like really, 2 months ago, probably I wasn't able to go introduce myself to somebody that I didn't know. All this stuff, but I feel like the space station 3 helped me a lot in this case. Also New York, also seeing the other, coming to me and to introduce themselves. So yeah, proud of myself.
Let's go. On that note, dude, I'm actually surprised you say that. Like, because I feel like you're such an easy guy to get comfortable with. I kind of just like waltzed into your guys' office yesterday, and like by the end of the day, I felt like I had been hanging out with you guys for like months there. So definitely kudos to you on that. I feel like you're just like a really cool, casual guy to hang out with. But on that, you were talking about your progress over the last 2 months, and think that everybody in this space currently is like really has a lot of progress to make over the next like 6 months to a year that we're all excited to continue on. So wanted to ask you guys in the next few months or years time, during your time at Station 3, everybody's kind of fresh in New York at this time. What are some things that you hope to accomplish by that during this time frame that at the end of it would make you feel like it was a success? And we'll throw it to Molly first because she's smiling.
Okay. Like when it comes to long-term planning, I have learned that that's just not necessarily the best way for me to function. I think that having a plan and having a vision is different. And so I have a vision, and it's really just it's now for myself and the people that I'm surrounded by, especially like in a creative way. Which there's just amazing creatives here and leaders here at Station 3, and I do know that like most definitely throughout the next 6 months, probably to a year too, like whatever progress is made is going to be shared most likely with the people that I'm surrounded by every single day. I love that because it makes me feel like I'm on a team again. I've spent like so much of my life on teams, and I think I work really well when I feel like I'm on a team of people. So the vision is just to like be in the moment and like keep grinding and not lose any inspiration, but to gain it. And I think that this is the perfect place for it. I think that naturally doing that and always looking to, create bigger and better things is going to naturally lead me down some type of path that I feel like I've already kind of stumbled upon, which is just like make art and just like never stop making art. I like near future wise, I recently got a couple big sheets of paper, 22 by 30 inch, and I will be creating bigger works. So I do know that that's one thing that is like definitive that I'll be, working on and accomplishing in my time here is just like doing bigger pieces of art. And I would say also along with that, I'm in New York City. I'm in like the heart of like I feel like the world's art market. It is my goal to build a name for myself in the traditional world as well. Because right now, I've been able to do everything on my own because I'm operating through crypto and I'm operating through this like decentralized space that only exists because of how the traditional world is. But at the same time, there's an importance to the traditional world, and it's my goal to attack that and then grow both. And have a balance there. So I feel like that's my vision.
Let's go. Very excited for you to do that. As well as expand into like the traditional art world too. I think it'll be cool for, to tackle one world and to like really like plant a flagpole there. But at the same time, I think that expansion is going to be huge, and just being omnipresent in all realms, I think is going to do wonders for everybody on this space. But want to throw it over to Alyssa. Alyssa, 6 months to a year from now, what would you like to do that will make you feel like your time in New York and at Station 3 has been a success?
I really resonate a lot with what Molly was saying. I'm not someone who's like much of a planner. I definitely think it's important to have like a clear vision and like certain goals that you're working towards, but like I'm really focused on just like being present, and especially because like my life has just changed so much since being here in New York for the past 3 weeks that I feel like this is something I was manifesting for so long, was having like a sense of community beyond just like online. Like having this physical set place to come and people to connect with is like, it means a lot to me. It's been the best experience so far. So I'm kind of just like right now appreciating that. And I feel like so many opportunities just tend to come naturally when you're in that flow state of just like appreciating life and being present. So I kind of like just seeing where life takes me. Like that's kind of my motto, is like, let's just see where life takes me. And it's been working out pretty well so far. But I definitely have like certain things that I'm kind of working towards. I don't always like sharing them because I don't want to like say, oh, I want to do this and then never do it. But I will say like I'm kind of like figuring out where my place is, because I don't know if I completely resonate with just being like a traditional artist. Like I really have this like vision for building a brand, and there's certain brands that really inspire me and that are meaningful to me. And I kind of want to find ways to connect with people beyond just the Web3 space especially. So I'm kind of just figuring that all out right now. So that's kind of broad. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see everything that comes in the next 6 months to a year.
So I know you don't want to share, exactly what your like plans are for the next 6 months to a year, or like things that your projects that you might intend to work on. But I want to show everybody where they could keep up to date on those things. And it's over here. Alyssa Stevens YouTube channels. Like and subscribe to that. I can't put it on my Twitter space, but I can show it on YouTube. So also, if you're not on the YouTube live stream, definitely jump on. But yeah, I had a blast like going through your vlogs. It was so funny because you've told me about them, and then it was just like cool to like see you processing some of the things that you've been working on, like the collective. I think there was a quote you were showing the artworks on a vlog of yours, and you thought of a quote as you were showing the artworks, and you're like, oh, this quote really resonates. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel like that quote was what led you to end up writing quotes on the backs of all of the cards?
Was it from my video talking about the collective? We are not all the same, but we are all one.
Yes, yeah, it was exactly that.
I don't know if that's exactly what inspired it, but I think like in general, I'm a big like I'm very into journaling and just like writing my ideas down in the moment. And I don't know if it directly like inspired that, but I'm very into like writing my thoughts down. And I thought it would be cool to kind of like find other sources that inspire me and add them to the collection. But yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have a favorite quote that's in the collection currently?
Oh, that's really hard. I'm sure I do, and I just like can't remember. But I'll just pick a random one right now.
I was going to say, pull a card for yourself.
Yeah, they all mean a lot to me. So, okay. Oh, I love this one. This is from one of my favorite movies, After Sun. If you haven't watched it, watch it with Paul Mescal. Love him. The quote is, "I think it's nice we share the same sky." It's like very concise, but the actual quote in the movie is longer, and I just think it's really beautiful because my art is always about connection and like in this interconnected nature of everything. And I think even if you're not like physically with somebody, I think it's nice we share the same sky. It's a really beautiful thing of like feeling like no matter what, we're always together. And I don't know. It's very simple, but I just love the concept behind it.
I think that's a good one for us to all ride home with at the end of the day. But do you know we're coming up on the hour, so wanted to start taking a few minutes to let people ask questions, and because we're on the YouTube live stream, can't let like Twitter Space guests just like jump on the Twitter Space, because audio wouldn't work out well. But if people do have questions that are on the live stream, definitely feel free to shoot them in the chat, and we could throw them at the artists up here currently. Also wanted to give you guys a chance to share anything you're working on that we could keep an eye out for, or anything that you'd just like to share with the group and the community. So we'll throw that to Matteo first. Any words?
Well, I'm working on the new Smiley dropping on Ethereum. So yeah.
And wait, what was it called again?
Excuse me?
Oh, what was it called?
The collection, like the series? Smiliness.
Oh, smile. Oh, I thought you said something else. That's why.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Definitely excited for that. We'll keep an eye on it. We're looking forward for sure. And Molly, any words?
Not really. Besides, I'm trying to stack my ETH so that I can collect some of these smileys and add to my Alyssa Stevens collection. I always brag because I'm pretty sure Alyssa's artwork is what I own the most of from across artists. So yeah, just so much inspiration around me all the time with people like Alyssa and Matteo and you, Steven. And yeah, I guess that's my final words for today.
Oh yeah, I think it's funny that like you guys knew each other prior to coming to New York, but like didn't know each other were coming to New York until just before.
Oh yeah, Alyssa and I, yeah. Well, we're synced.
Yeah, we're aligned. So we met at Art Basel in December for the first time, but like knew each other on Twitter before that.
Gotcha. And wait, so I don't think I know, Matteo, you mentioned that a friend mentioned Station 3 to you, but yeah. Alyssa and Molly, how did you guys find out about Station 3?
I found out like kind of from Molly, like mostly like the first day I came, it's because Molly invited me to an event here, but then I also realized someone else that I know in the Web3 space had invited me to another event here. So even if Molly didn't tell me about it, I would have somehow ended up here, I think. But yeah.
Tons of events every week. But yeah, I want to add, like, if anyone's listening is from New York, living here, pass by New York, come to see us. It's like a beautiful space, beautiful co-working, beautiful people. Always something going on every evening. So yeah.
I will echo that. This place feels like it's literally like seething with excitement. It's very like startup like. I think there's just like a lot of artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, etc., and everybody's kind of looking to like work together and build together too. So very, very vibrant, just like community on the brink of explosion right now. And shouts out to Bob Lucas for putting it all together. But Molly, were you gonna say something?
Well, to piggyback off of what Matteo said, like feel free to reach out to basically any of us on the stage right now on our drums, because we're gonna answer those questions about this place, because we've witnessed firsthand like just how powerful it is not to have a community online, but to have a community in person. And I mean, even with that being said, like the patron pass that Station 3 is kind of like built off of is just I think that this is going to set an example of what NFTs really can do in the future. I think it's just I think a lot of people are gonna witness what happens here and what comes from this, and probably make their own version of it in the future. And yeah, so that's also just a very soft shell for the patron pass.
It's not a show space, Molly. No, but
I mean,
echo that. Definitely think there's a lot of value to be acquired like through that pass. So if people are considering it, recommend checking it out. I do believe the price is rising on OpenSea too. But we'll throw it over to Alyssa. Alyssa, any last words you'd like to share with the group? Things to keep an eye out for? Closing statements?
I don't know. I've been really into like my more detailed pen on paper pieces, so that's what I think I'm focusing on, and I might be releasing them soon. I don't want to say it like anything set in stone, but yeah. So just keep an eye out, I guess. But yeah, I'm just like very grateful to be a part of Station 3, and I feel like everything kind of like came together in such a beautiful aligned way. Lots of synchronicities, and so I don't know. I love everyone here. Like the energy is so good, and I actually look forward to coming here like pretty much every single day. And just you never know like what's gonna happen here. It's really exciting. So yeah, just very grateful.
So wait, on the events port, like on Station 3, because I know we're all massive supporters. I do see that we have the Station 3 profile currently in the Twitter space listening. So I wanted to take a second for us to just throw out event ideas. I believe Molly was part of the paint and sip idea that's roaming around, but any other event ideas that we could brainstorm?
Movie night.
Movie night? Okay, yeah.
I like a barbecue in the summer.
I think there is one on Saturday that people are throwing, so
I'm hungry and I like shish kebab, so I'm down.
okay. I'm down.
Matteo, any thoughts?
About event here to do some stuff here. We have lots idea like that we need to put down and do. But yeah, we are working on like painting nights, lot of stuff.
Gotcha. So
Bob give us like this space and also the freedom to do like incredible stuff. So yeah,
cool stuff in the pipeline coming up. So definitely recommend everybody keeps an eye out. But last, like, I really just want to thank you guys for jumping up here today, guys. You guys are freaking awesome all around, exceptional talents, but also just like tremendous people too. And it's been so cool to just spend these last couple of days with you and really get to know each one of you individually and see your work and dive in, do some research on you guys, and really get to explore your bodies of work as well. So really looking forward to what these next few months have coming for you guys. I think you're going to continue to kill it, and I'm very happy to support it and be a part of it in any way that I can along the way. But also want to thank Station 3 for just bringing us the space and the community together for everybody to continue to build and further their careers and dreams out here in New York City. So want to thank everybody for jumping on today. Wonderful audience as well. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.